Okay, so based off the comments of the 10 best XXL freshman list that I just dropped, I need to state this at the start. This list is entirely based on my enjoyment, or lack thereof, of the rappers in question. If I really dislike a rapper's music, they will be on this list. It's clear that worst is a subjective word within the context of this video. It's 100% based on my opinion, and that's it. Now that we've cleared that up real quick, I would like to thank the boys over at The Ridge for sponsoring one of my videos once again. Thank you. Now, if I was to make a 10 best wallets list, I can confidently say that it would be 10 different shades and colors of a Ridge wallet. Just look at how this compact, sleek design manages to carry everything that you need whilst using the most minimal amount of pocket space possible. Combine that with the Ridge phone case and you've got unstoppable drip, playboy, and you can own one just like this, or one of their other dozen styles of wallet, by clicking the link down in the description below and using that promo code 2007 for 10% off. You'll get free worldwide shipping and lifetime warranty with your products. Get dripped up, boys, and join the Ridge revolution. So thank you to Ridge for supporting my content. It is always appreciated. And with that being said, this is CDTVProductions, and let's jump right into this list of the 10 worst XXL freshmen so far.
When I made my first me, ain't panic. I'm on the drink, got this hill. I'm done with Zanny.
What is the point of being a XXL freshman if you are not even gonna show up for the freestyle, and possibly the cypher too? I like to believe that Gunna is still walking to the recording studio to get his freestyle done, but his tight ass jeans are slowing down his journey. But nah, I just think he's not contributing much at all to his spot on this year's list. Of course, I wouldn't put him on here just for that. Tierra Whack didn't do a freestyle either, and she's not on this list because I love her music. And this list is about my enjoyment of the music of the rappers in question. And I find Gunna projects so difficult to get through. I'm not even gonna lie, that's one of the reasons why my worst rappers in the game, question mark, video on Gunna isn't out yet. But I'm working on it, and in that video, you'll be able to hear every single reason why I find this man's music to be stale and sleep-inducing.
I walk with a style like a midget. Yeah. We on your block. Yeah, we spin like a fidget.
Man, I was actually intrigued by Smoke Perp's music to a degree when I first checked him out, but Lost Planet is a disaster. I just feel like he's going backwards and trying new things less and less with each project that comes out. I find him to be so bland now, it sounds like he doesn't even want to rap on a lot of tracks. And for me personally, I don't think there's anything he does better than everyone else. He doesn't have that defining characteristic that he's the best at. He's basically a watered down version of Comethazine on his hype tracks, and a dull Travis Scott on his auto-tuned ones. Or Sway Lee if we're talking about Remember Me, and Nav on Throwaway.
I see the changing people too. I'm people that will wild move.
Gucci down on my sock, yeah, I be double G. Take a flight up to New York just to shop at Barney.
I really don't want to be too harsh or anything, but I'm sad that Perp didn't capitalize on that potential that I really truly felt like he had at first. I remember initially I couldn't stand Lil Pump's music, and I thought that Smoke Perp was the better half of that duo or that friendship right there, but strangely enough, that has flipped right around in just over a year and a half.
It's true though. I hope your box don't spread like the rumors. Sad, but it's true though. It's true though.
So as I was making this list, I was really trying to think, what defines French Montana? I legitimately find him so hard to describe that I almost didn't put him on this list for that reason alone. I was panicking, thinking, what am I actually gonna say about him? How am I gonna justify this spot? And I think that ironically explains my thoughts on him. I don't like going in on French because by all accounts he's apparently a good person in real life and he has a pretty heartwarming rags to riches story, but musically I'm just not a fan. This man has drained too many songs of their energy with his guest verses for me to not put him on here. French's own music is marginally better than his guest verses, but honestly I think that's mostly down to the production and his features saving French. As a rapper, I've never found him to be an enjoyable listen, and I just think he embodies dreary, blank as a slab of concrete rap.
I just took Cialis, but she on Molly. Hey, do you wanna boot up? Do you wanna party?
I'm not gonna lie, Kodak's most recent album, Dying to Live, not horrible. There's a couple jams and bopperinos on there, and I can appreciate that on a lot of tracks there is substance to his lyrics. But that doesn't exactly mean that I like that album or Kodak as a rapper overall. Easily the biggest issue for me is his voice, or at least how he uses it on tracks. He can't change the voice he was given, obviously, and it does stand out, but I can't find any appeal in the slurred, childlike vocals that he delivers. It's just a personal preference. It even makes it harder for me to take his more serious songs seriously. I've always thought that Kodak picked fantastic production, but I've never been a fan of what he's done with that production. Oh, and he almost entirely deserves a spot on this list purely for Heartbreak Kodak. That one was a challenge and a half to stay sane through.
Calm it down. I'm going bonker now. I got a tonker now. I got an army now.
This man really said Timmy Turner and then dipped. It is not often that you get to see true fall-offs like the one that occurred with Designer. A 5x platinum #1 hit single that was an enjoyable track in my opinion. Then a platinum single with Timmy Turner. And then nothing. New English dropped and sounded like an unfinished, forgettable mixtape, but he had a chance to redeem himself with the Life of Designer project that he had teased for a while. Then it dropped, and it was somehow a rushed sounding 7-song EP that people thought would be an album, with one good song. There is not a single project from this man that sounds fulfilling. To be fair, I don't know how much of that is in his hands and how much is the label's responsibility, but even then, the actual songs that Designer is putting out just aren't anything notable. And too much of his catalogue consists of pretty weak songs that don't stick with you for that long.
Now he looking like a bagel. How could I ever go broke? If cash money is the label.
What can I say about Mr. Blueface that I haven't said already? His songs are insanely repetitive and too many of them sound like the exact same track. He's even said himself he just makes the same stuff repeatedly because it's easier than trying. He was another one of those artists that caught my attention early on because what he was doing was sort of different. But at the point we're at now, that doesn't even really matter because he's just ran it into the ground. You don't even need to click play on his new stuff to know that he's gonna be offbeat rapping over typical West Coast production and is probably gonna mention the fact he has 2 dicks at some point. He very quickly descended from someone I found fun to listen to in a so bad it's good type of way into a please stop, the joke ran its course already type of rapper. Daddy has a super catchy hook, but that's pretty much the highest praise I can give to Blueface's newest material. At least his cypher verse should be funny though.
Gold all in my chain. Gold all in my ring. Gold all in my watch.
I'm sure there will be a lot of people that feel that Trinidad James is the worst rapper to ever appear on XXL, hands down. And don't get me wrong, he's close. But I feel like it definitely seems like he's ironically playing into southern rap stereotypes as much as he can. It seems like there's somewhat a bit of self-awareness there. Everything he does really feels like it's done to make fun of rap cliches. I mean, surely he's joking when he says stuff like this and then acts like he was spitting flames at the end of the track. It makes his music kinda funny, but it still doesn't change the fact that it all sounds pretty awful. If I am correct in thinking that this is ironic rap, there's a way to make ironic rap listenable, and this ain't it. The best part of his 2013 album? It was the T.I. and 2 Chainz verses on the very last track. And his newer stuff isn't much better. His Daddy Issues album seemed like it was going for a kind of experimental vibe, but the way that was attempted was just by poorly mixing everything over airy, psychedelic production. I like to refer to it as failed testing. I'm pretty certain he's playing a character with his music, but it still doesn't make the music any more enjoyable. Here we go again.
Shut up, CDTV. You just don't like RT because you're not pretty and don't know how to have fun. I know you never claimed you wanted to hear lyricism when listening to KT, but shut up, you're dumb for coming to KT for lyrics. He is the most creative artist of this decade and certainly not just doing random stuff over weird production and getting high praise for it. You twat.
Look, Carti fans, whatever you're getting from Carti's music, I'm just not feeling the same thing. I don't feel whatever you're feeling when you listen to it. Maybe I really do need to go through with listening to Die Lit for 24 hours to really unravel its true meaning. But for now, it's an album I just can't stand. And I am very scared, I'm terrified actually, about the fact that the baby voice version of Carti seems to be becoming more and more prominent now, because that is a sound that just goes right through me.
Oh, they're trying to be quick. Yeah, they're trying to be quick.
A lot of people say Carti's voice is like another instrument on the track, there to provide to the sound and the atmosphere of it, and that's fine, I can kind of see that. But personally, I do not like the sound of that instrument. I just don't feel like he adds much at all to any track that he's on. Trust me, I'm not looking for lyricism or bars from Carti, I just heavily dislike the way his music sounds. It does nothing for me. He has songs here and there that I do enjoy somewhat, but in most of those cases, those songs have features and a nice instrumental backing Carti. He's not anyone I could ever see myself enjoying, but I do hope that that changes with future releases and I can finally get on this Carti wave. Block Boy JB. I don't know how many times this man can recreate Look Alive and call it something different. At least he's doing that vocal chopping effect a lot less on his new mixtape, but that's about the only improvement I could see in it. Block is actually kind of similar to Blueface in a few aspects now that I think about it. For example, when you click on a song of his, you know almost exactly what the beat is gonna sound like. He seems mostly averse to stepping outside his comfort zone. Every beat he chooses sounds like it's produced by Tay Keith, even when it's not. Wanna see a dead body. Instead of rapping offbeat, Block Boy's thing seems to be that he punches in every single line. I'm not even joking, almost every single line on his songs sounds like a noticeably different take, and it's so distracting. With almost everyone else on this list, I can force myself to sit down and listen to one of their projects, just tough it out. But for Block, it's damn near impossible for me. Again, he's someone else that's like French Montana. Apparently he's a really energetic and fun person in real life, so I hate just talking down about his music, but it's really just not good in my opinion. The way things seem right now, he has very little longevity in the rap game, and I do think he may have just hit his peak already when Look Alive dropped.
Nosy hoes asking about my brand new nose, but my bank account got some brand new O's.
Iggy Azalea? More like really bad music. Isn't it cute though that we have real life couple Carti and Iggy on the same list? Oh, I'm begging you though, don't drop a collab together or else I may just be done with like music forever. I really didn't know how much I disliked Iggy's album until I struggled to get through a 6-song EP of hers. Her album? That was like a marathon with spikes in my shoes. Her music and persona just seems so manufactured. Say what you want about someone like Cardi B, for example, but at least she seems like her music genuinely represents who she is in real life. And even when she's making stuff up, she sounds convincing enough that you believe it really happened. There's none of that with Iggy. It feels like she's playing a character that she doesn't believe in enough to make it convincing. And even when she tries her hand at something technical like lyricism, it's just really bad.
You bitches writing slow like centipedes.
What? Centipedes aren't slow. Have you seen those things move?
Then I hop in the drop and a wave goodbyes. I drive through the tunnel looking like Lady Di. Wow.
That's just unnecessarily dark for a happy sounding song.
When it really starts, I'm a runaway slave. Master.
No, Iggy. No. To sum up everything I've said, in a word, her music is ass. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I feel that Iggy Azalea is the worst rapper to ever grace the XXL freshman cover, at least so far. Well guys, that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm not going to lie, I was looking forward to making this more than the best freshman list. I would really appreciate you subscribing if you haven't done so and you enjoyed the video. And if you are already subscribed, I would really appreciate you hitting that notification bell so you can see my videos as soon as they come out. So thank you so much for watching guys. I will hopefully see you all in the next one. And this is your boy, CDTVProductions, signing out.